10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All systems go.
You're listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by.
On the morning shift.
Anything
Could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh. I'm glad to be here with you. I'm thankful that you're here with us. We got a great show on this Thursday, September the 25th, 2025, as usual. And we will begin with weather like we normally do. Just want to make sure I have the right weather up here. And we are excited to let you know that we're coming at you every morning on CKLU, Sudbury's campus community radio station, 96.7 FM on your FM dial. We're also streaming live at cklu.ca. You just click on the Radio Player Canada app and you can stream us, you download it, you can take us with you and listen to us anywhere, anytime on your favorite device. We're also streaming at facebook.com/Sudbury News, youtube.com/Sudbury News. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and follow the channel, and the page will be followed immediately. The live will be followed immediately with the on-demand. We'll put it up for you. The show will also be found on demand on x.com/Sudbury News and Sudbury.news, which is our news aggregator. It takes all the local news and brings it into one convenient webpage in answer to our federal government's policies that don't allow news to be shared on the world's largest social media platforms, which is Facebook and Instagram. Can't share any international news, can't share national news, can't share local news, no news. Go try to look up any news organization on Facebook and see what you get. Kind of gives you a little bit of a kind of scratch your head moment as to why that is. We don't hear anything about it anymore. The subject is now not talked about. So it's just the way Canada is. It's the only country that I guess has news or the illusion of news and allows Facebook, but doesn't allow news to be on it. The only country of its kind. So we're unique. We're unique in many ways in Canada. So elbows up. And it's time to, dive into a little bit of local news today. There's quite a bit to talk about. And then we have our deep dive into a little bit about what's been going on with the ostrich farm in BC. We haven't really covered that too much. And now at least it seems like it's come full circle and there's an ending to the story. And spoiler alert, there's a happy ending, which is really cool, what took place. And we'll have Mario for the North just kind of sum it up for us. For those that haven't even heard of it, there's a lot of people out there. What are you talking about, ostrich farm? Because we don't really cover news in Canada that well, the way news, I guess traditionally was covered, where someone heard about a problem and they went out and they did journalism. They actually went out to ask questions and they tried holding people accountable to whatever jobs they had, and they, whatever, they'd ask them questions of whether it was the government. They'd say, hey, are you doing your job? Are you actually trying to pull a fast one on people? But journalists don't do that anymore, at least in the mainstream. And it may be due to the fact that they're actually paid from our federal government, subsidized, right? And so we have independent journalists who go out and do this type of journalism. And thankfully we have them. So we'll have something from them talking about the ostrich farm and the new arena. There's a lot of people talking about it and, the cost of it. We'll have Bob Johnston and Tom Price on the show on Tuesday. We also want to welcome our Ward 5 City Councilman Mike Perron, who said in September he would know the numbers and then he would be able to come on the show and relay the numbers. And I would actually love to have a discussion with him and Tom Price over who Tom Price has his own numbers based on his research. And it would be great to see that kind of in a conversation with Mike Perron representing the city and their numbers and where they're getting their numbers from, and then just let people listen to it so they can make up their own minds, right? It really helps to have discussions about these types of things. And this is what we try to do on this show, is to be able to have a discussion about the news. It's sharing your views on the news. We don't necessarily claim to be, firsthand reporters going out there on the streets, boots on the ground, getting the stories. We get the stories from those who get the stories, and then we discuss them. We may even talk about accountability of journalism, because that's a little bit of what my background is, going to school for that, and then just being that type of person myself. I have another full-time job, unfortunately. This is something that I do volunteer. I do it as a passion project. I do it because I went to school for it. And I noticed that the journalism industry was dwindling as I was coming to the end of my schooling. There was no way that I would be able to have a career in that. And if I did, I'd feel extremely compromised and I'd be very unhappy. And so this was a way to at least continue my passion, and that is trying to find the truth and get to the bottom of things. And that's what we try to do on this show. And it's through conversation and through getting news stories from journalists who are paid to go out there. And if they are not sharing the full story, we'll ask a few more questions along with the questions they've already asked in their news reporting, right? And sometimes we catch spin, we catch wording that they are certain political leaning as journalists, which is not cool in terms of being a journalist. You need to be unbiased, at least that's what people feel journalists are, but not everybody can be, not everybody is. You have a bias. And so that's that. Let's dive in with a little bit of weather. Then we'll be back after the weather with comments, with news headlines from our community. And then we'll do a little deep dive what's going on in our country, because we do live in this country, in our community. So it goes hand in hand. We do have to, we are Canadian after all, and we should be in tune with what's going on around the country, and those that are governing us, the way that they're governing us, we need to be on top of, because we're the ones who vote them in. Anyways, that's that. And we'll be back after the weather. Stick around. And Sudbury weather brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. Currently it is 15 degrees. There's fog patches. Today we can expect it to be mainly cloudy with a 30% chance of showers in the morning. Fog patches dissipating. High of 22, humidex 27. So it'll be warm enough today. UV index 5 or moderate tonight, becoming partly cloudy this evening. 40% chance of showers or drizzle overnight. Low of 11. And as you can see in the long range forecast, tomorrow 40% chance of showers. Today 30% chance of showers. Saturday, 40% chance of showers, high of 21. Tomorrow will be high of 19, by the way. And Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, sunny, 24, 23, 19 degrees respectively. And then clouds are forecasted to roll in on Wednesday. So it looks like from Sunday on anyways, it'll be some nice weather. So get out and enjoy it this time of year as the leaves start changing, and a sunny day, mild, leaves changing. Sounds like a good time to go for a walk in your favorite place. Anyways, that's your Sudbury weather brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. I'll be back with news headlines, your comments, and more right after this. Okay. we got a few of you joining us this morning with a few shout outs, and we'll get right into things. Let's see here. Northern Hillbilly, good morning, people on YouTube. And you go on to say, do I use tiny hats yet? AJ, see the tiny hats yet? No, I don't. I don't see the tiny hats yet. Unless you say tin hats, if that's what you're kind of referring to. I'm not sure. But either way, Judy, good morning to you on Facebook. And Monique, good morning, Sudbury. And Marianne, good morning, everyone from Barrie, liked and shared as usual. And Vin, morning to you. Along with Belinda, who usually has a positive statement of the day. Let's see what she has for us today. Good morning. The truth will always be the truth, regardless of lack of understanding, disbelief, or ignorance. Double heart emoji, and that is so true. I always talk about truth. Interesting how the university culture these days, or what's being taught in university or academia, they question truth itself. It's like, do you really know what's true? Is there even something that is true? What is truth? It's true to you. Does that mean it's true to someone else? And they kind of just disassemble the whole idea of something being true in the first place. And with someone who I'm speaking to who has that indoctrination that there may not even be any truths, it's like you got to start somewhere. Like just, we're sitting at a table. Okay, what's this that we're sitting in front of? I'm not going to tell you what it is. I'm not going to put something in your mind. But what is this that I'm knocking on right now? And they'll say a table. I said, yeah, I would have said the same thing. I didn't tell you, it wasn't my truth that you said, but it was something we agree on. It's a table. And then it comes down to, yeah, but do we really know this is real? We could be living in a computer simulation and all these things, and they just keep going on and on and on and on. But you basically have to establish something that everybody agrees on. And truth doesn't have to even be what everyone agrees on, but you got to start somewhere. Truth is real. Truth is self-evident. It stands on its own. And it's for us, if we choose, to recognize it. And I think that's the whole reason why we're here, having this human experience, is to recognize it and live according to it. And that's what it comes down to. And it's kind of like someone who you talk to and they could be, and weight, people struggle with weight, but at the same time, I do too, and I have to do things about it. And I find things that work for me, and I live that way, right? But if someone you see and they're, let's say 500 pounds or whatever, they're very obese, and they just keep telling you, oh, I do everything, I diet, I do everything, and you just know it's not true, So people have this idea in their minds, and they're living certain ways that don't really, they aren't living truthful lives. If they were really truthful, they would say, well, actually, I do a lot of snacking at night and I eat a lot of chips before I go to bed. Okay, well, there you go. That's probably not a good thing if you actually were concerned with weight, because sugary foods with carbs, snack foods, not good at all. However, worse if you eat them in the evening. That's just the thing for most people. Not everybody, right? But I'm just trying to talk in layman's terms about reality and truth. And I find I have to work hard at keeping my weight off. If I just eat whatever I want, whenever I want, however I want, then my weight goes out of control and I'm not happy with it. And I say, well, according to do that, in order to kind of get my weight down and actually be healthier, I have to live by certain principles. And I don't just make them up in my head. I go out and find what other people are doing. I say, okay, well, what are you doing to help your health and help your weight? And they say, well, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Okay, well, let me try that. Wait a minute. Wait, that's true. That works. There's principles. Our body are physical machines, and they operate on principles. Now, there are some variances in there that I've already talked about, but by and large, there's a lot of just fundamental core principles that are true when it comes to our body. If we eat poison, we could die, right? Now, a university professor would say, well, that's your truth. If you think you drink poison and you die, then that's what's going to happen because you believe it's your truth. No, it's true. It's a poison. You drink it, you die. That's what happens. That's true. It's a truth. There are truths out there. Things that are fundamentally just true. You know? And I don't know why people love these gray area conversations all the time where it's just anything goes and, oh, what if this, what if that? No, let's just get down to what works, what doesn't, and move on. You know, what's true, what's not. It's this whole idea when life begins. I don't even know why people have a hard time with that. Life begins when life begins. A sperm and an egg, they're two individual things, but when they come together, something happens. That's to me when it begins. Now, that's controversial for some reason, and I don't know why. I really don't. You know, because something happened, a chemical reaction happened, and something changed between the sperm and the egg. They came together, and something magical happened. That's the beginning. When you ask what's the beginning, people say, oh, the Big Bang, that's the beginning. No, what if you said no? No, it was only 10 years ago was the beginning. That's when the beginning happened. No, the same people who believe in a Big Bang theory, that something came out of nothing, everything we have came out of Zippo, will also say life doesn't begin right when the egg and the sperm come together. Isn't that weird? Like, and it didn't come out of nothing. It came out of two things that created one thing, you and I. And when did our life begin? You know, physically. That, to me, is a no-brainer. And why is that so controversial? I don't know. I honestly don't. I've given it a lot of thought over a lot of time, and we're talking truth and not truth. But people, I guess, in trying to find the truth, it's a frustrating thing, I guess, for a lot of people. And Trevor, someone who's definitely out there trying to find the truth, good morning to you. And Monique, like and share and have a like button this morning. Hey, that's good. That's good. You haven't had a like button for a while. Denise, Trump's kicking butt in the UN about climate change and everything is a big farce. Again, talking about truth, there is a lot of money to be made in the climate industry, right? And so we have to always question where the money is, right? You've heard that before. It's not that uncommon. Follow the money and you'll find a lot of things there. Is it real or not? There's a lot of science out there. Now, the media will tell you things, and there's something to be questioned about that. Why is the media telling you things? Who pays for the media, whether it's the United States, and it's largely pharmaceutical companies who pay for all the advertising there. So what are how is the media going to lean down there? In Canada, it's paid for by the governments. Whatever the government says, that's what the media is going to say, right? Whoever's paying your bill, that's who you're going to lean towards. It just is what it is. It's just reality. Monique says they may have changed the algorithms because many are getting it back. Okay, yes, algorithms are always changing. Rogue, good morning to you. Smiley emoji, and Monique, Grand Rising heart emoji. Appreciated. Marianne. So, Trump's speech, did you see the escalators didn't work when he went in to the UN to give his speech? He gets the escalator, they're working, and as soon as he gets to go on it, the escalator stops. So you have to ask yourself, is that coincidence? Does that just happen by chance? Who knows? Then they actually walk up the stairs of the escalator. He begins his speech, and then his teleprompter goes out. And there was a person who said he's worked there for 7 years in the UN and never seen the teleprompter ever once go out, because he says they have a backup for that. If the teleprompter goes out, they have a backup. But for Trump, it just went out. But they kind of underestimated him because he loves speaking off the cuff. And I guess they got an earful from that because of that. So you can't thwart things from happening. You have to allow things to happen. But the current new government that's going to be coming in that's going to want to take, have a one world government and run everything. They want to control everything. And when you try to control everything, we know what happens. It goes against nature. So it's not going to work. It'll work for a while. It'll look like it's working, but in the end, it can't work because it goes against nature. And Nana, good morning. Blessings, everyone. Thanks for being on, Nana. Can you imagine if people get together to protect humans and children and women the way that we protect these ostriches? What a better Canada it would be if we could stand up for people the way that we do for birds. And you know what? That is so true, Denise. However, so cool to see, because we might not even have stood up for birds in this case, but it was great to see how everyone stood up. Now, it's that I think we should use that as a template for helping any, whether it's animals or humans, anyone who is being exploited to that extent. And, there's the outcome that was going to happen to these birds, that could happen to humans, that could happen to any animal or any human. I think we need to get together and be able to stand up for what's right. And again, here's the thing, right? A lot of people say, well, what's right? Okay, that's true. These aren't easy questions we're talking about here. We need to find out what's true, what's right, and there's always going to be people or a group of people that are going to say the opposite, and it's just all the way it's going to be until it's not, and that's just the way it is for now. And Suzanne, good morning to you. Thanks for being on. Hazel, good morning. Prayer emoji, much appreciated. Thank you so much for that. So we're going to dive in with a few local stories here from our news aggregator, our news aggregating website, which is Sudbury.news. I don't know why I was so far down here. I really don't know what was going on here, but lots of news going on, as you can see. We'll get that up on the screen for everybody. Check it out. If you haven't been to Sudbury.news, it's got all local news on it, and it's got other news too. So it's not just local news, but that's what comes up on the main page. And then you can get Sudbury, City of Sudbury, when they put out press releases on the right-hand side, Ontario government, federal government, Prime Minister's office. So you can be on top of everything through our local website, Sudbury.news. Community on alert after smelter dust event near Falconbridge. So the particulate matter is currently being tested, and the PHSD said the PHSD. But as a precaution, they recommend Sudburyans near Glencore mine engage in frequent hand washing, using PPE when required, turning off air conditioners and furnaces, avoid garden produce. That's interesting. And keep children and pets from playing in impacted areas. Ouch. So there's another story on that is down a little further here. And yeah, and it was there earlier, so I'm not sure. It was saying that the handling of it was criticized here, so I'm just wondering what happened to that story. That's really interesting. The story was there. It was like they're coming under fire for how they handled the particular, I don't know if it was a leak or what. Oh yeah, here you go. Glencore criticized in response, and the picture went away for some reason too. That's weird. Glencore criticized for response to dust escaping from Falconbridge smelter, people wondering why people in the community and health officials were not immediately notified of the incident. That's from the Sudbury Star. First story coming from Sudbury.com. So Sudbury.com is just giving the story as I found historically they do. They'll just kind of give whatever side the company or the city is saying, whereas the Sudbury Star questions it a little bit more, which, right? So the people are wondering why they weren't notified, or the health unit wasn't notified early enough on this, right? So along with, if you check out our Facebook page, we have so many comments coming in on the new arena. And thanks, Belinda, for sharing me the Terry Callahan post, former host on Q92 in the morning with Mel. He put out a pretty big rant about what's going on in the city. Says a lot of people are kind of just complaining a lot of the city. And instead of complaining, maybe get out and do. He kind of praised Bob Johnston and his work for getting out and working with the homeless. And, he says these are legacy projects. They're always going to cost a lot, and they're always going to, have controversy. And good morning, Andrew. Thanks for being with us. However, we need to really be more respectful online and come with solutions instead of just putting things down. Sudbury is also facing a lot of the same problems that all other cities are, which I've said too. And like I said to Bob and Tom, I said, actually, I want a new arena. I would love to have a new arena. We have a really old arena. It's the oldest arena in the OHL. Why does Sudbury have to have that? Why do we have to have the taxidermied wolf come into the new arena? It's questions I have like that. As that's my citizen side speaking, But going in debt, as much as we're going in debt, the leadership, why can't they come up with other ways, sponsorship, partnerships to pay for part of this? And good morning, Diane. Thanks for being on. To pay for at least part of the arena's costs. And it's not going to just cost $200 million. The city just keeps saying it. We've already spent $100 million, and there isn't even a shovel in the ground yet. We're paying Wacky Wings $100,000 per month before they build their new building. The city, your taxes are going towards paying Wacky Wings that. They're making financial decisions that are going to put Sudbury, per person, the most in debt city in Canada, in Ontario, after we build this arena, or while we're building it, because we need the money ahead of time. So we're going to be the most in debt city in Ontario. That's what our leadership has brought us. And good morning, Josiah. Thanks for being on. Right? So that's just, you just have to question that and say, okay, well, financially, maybe not, they're not the greatest, at running things. And because you got to look at the facts. Again, we talked about truth at the beginning of the show, right? What's the truth? What are facts? I guess facts are a form of truth. It's a fact, right? What is a fact? You have to kind of go through some kind of process to see if it's real or not and whatever. But I thought I'd start off with a little bit of comedy here this morning. I don't know if you've ever heard of this particular gentleman, Rodney Norman. He's a comedian, and this is his shtick. He kind of looks like he might live like a kind of lifestyle of unhoused lifestyle or whatever, living on the streets. He's not. He just comes across as a simple man who, who's trying to look at life, and he has an interesting perspective. But, things are confusing, and I just like the way words are ever so divided society and finding what's right and what's wrong and who's doing what and why are they doing that. He just kind of has this little rant. I just thought I'd share it with y'all.
The important thing you gotta remember is, okay, so some people were, they were doing some stuff, and then other people were like, hey, don't do that stuff, and then other people were like, hey, yeah, they should do, that stuff. It's good that they're doing that stuff. And then the other people were like, I don't think they should be doing that stuff. And then they're doing, so things are like, what I'm trying to say is that, in conclusion, I have no idea. Most important thing,
So that's Rodney Norman. If you haven't seen him before, check him out. He has a whole different kind of slant on life and just kind of makes you laugh, and which we got to do sometimes. Either you're going to laugh or you're going to cry at the situation of the world. But he just has an interesting perspective that I think it's just a breath of fresh air and makes you think. So check him out. Rodney Norman, the Mormon, I guess you can say. He's a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. But he, so again, his comedy is clean. He doesn't swear or anything like that. It's family friendly, you name it. But we're talking about the ostrich farm, and a lot of people aren't really aware of what's been going on there. And so Mario, for the North, he was asked to kind of sum it up for people, because a lot of people hear about this, or they hear, little different things are going on there. They might hear from friends, hey, have you heard of the ostriches or whatever? Or they might see a reel here and there, a live from what's going on there. Not really sure what's going on. He kind of sums up what's happened over the last little bit here for you.
Just want to see a master of accountability at work. Watch this.
And there, the Prime Minister just admitted that he doesn't even know what his gun ban applies to. For example, this ban...
Oh, and you know what? I had 2 Mario videos, and so that was not the right one. Apologize for that. This was where we were going next, or might even save it for tomorrow, because talking about our government and their obsession on taking away our firearms for some reason, just hunting firearms. I'm not sure what's going on here, why this video is playing the way that it's playing. I've never seen this happen before. So we'll go back and try this again and see what happens. And probably the same thing's going to happen again. So try to do things over and over and expect different results. Here you go. Here's Mario explaining. If I can make this bigger, I don't know how. But anyways, let's pause this. Yes, I can. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this and that and this.
I think this might be the most requested video I've been asked to make in all of 2025. And I'm going to cover the ostriches from beginning to end so everyone can understand what government overreach looks like. So Universal Ostrich, a farm in Edgewood, BC, was ordered to kill all of its ostriches because the authorities received an anonymous tip in December of 2024 that some of these ostriches were dying or had the avian flu. Now, they collected samples and they tested positive for it. Now, fast forward to January, they decided to fight this order and take them to court. And they said to the government, hey, yes, we did lose 69 ostriches, but the rest have no symptoms. They're still alive. Not a single one has died since. And so RFK, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., offered to move these ostriches to the U.S. And you guys know Dr. Oz? Both he and RFK wanted these birds moved to the U.S. because it says, we're sticking our necks out because it doesn't help anyone to kill the birds. The idea is they've developed antibodies and they could be useful. No symptoms, no flu. What's the point of killing 400 of them? That was the reasoning behind this. The government disagreed and they said, no, we are going to get rid of all of them. Apparently a union rep was saying that the Canadian Food Inspection Agency was facing a lot of intimidation and threats over the planned culling of these ostriches. The farm did everything they could to fight this, but they lost the court battle. I believe it was less than 2 days ago, RCMP showed up. And I don't think this picture does it justice. There was a lot of them. And they arrested the ostrich farmers. Simultaneously, they created this massive wall of hay bales around the ostriches, presumably to gather them all, put them in there, and basically exterminate them. As you can see, these are at least 3 meters high. Now, fast forward to just a few hours ago, the farmers succeeded, and they got an interim stay to halt the culling of the herd. And when that happened, they started burning the hay bale wall. But to me, here's the most fascinating part of this whole thing and how they were able to put this to a pause, at least temporarily. First Nations stepped up. They said, we're contesting this ground. We think this is ours. And because it's ours, you have to hear us in court. You can't touch the birds. This is our property. That's how they did it. Incredibly creative. And now this has to go through the court process. Shout out to the First Nation.
Shout out to the First Nation. That's what Mayor for the North saying. I say the same thing. And I say, if you ever want to take on a cause and get things done, you kind of have to partner with First Nations, because that's how the media is going to take it seriously if you get our Indigenous brothers and sisters on board with something, because it is what it is. You just can't deny that, our government and our media wants to virtue signal that they're doing everything they can to appease now and make restitution with our Native brothers and sisters, with our Indigenous, family here in Canada. And if they get involved, boy, that's it. And historically, and I have to hand it, they really do get behind a lot of really cool things. Just recently here at Serpent River, they got behind Stop the Spray, and they actually got results. Like I said, they had the media out there. No one else. There was all kinds of other people saying stop the spray around here. Nobody got media attention, but Serpent River First Nation did, because they got behind it again, right? Because it's true. It's correct. It's not benefiting us to have a spray our forests with stuff that's not going to help our vegetation. It's going to poison people. It's poisoning the vegetation, and it's just not cool. It's just not cool. So anyways, that's that. And Blender talking about so they're going after ostriches. They're arresting the people in the farm owners, all the RCMP are there. They're so worried about these ostriches, but yet Canada's crime is unprecedented. We've never had crime the way that we do here on a big level, but for some reason they don't care about that. They care about taking away law-abiding gun owners' guns and arresting ostrich farm owners and killing their ostriches.
Canada has become a playground for the world's most dangerous criminals. But don't take my word for it. Here's the Minister of External Affairs from India.
Number of people with organized crime links from Punjab have been made welcome in Canada. We have been telling Canada, saying, look, these are wanted criminals from India. You have given them visas. They have come, many of them, in false documentation. And yet you allow them to live there. If you decide to import for political purposes people with very dubious, actually very negative background, there will be issues. They have, in some cases, created problems in their own country as a result of their own policies.
Now consider that crime from India pales in comparison to the threats posed by Chinese criminal organizations. These groups are cleaning billions of dollars in casinos, which then flow through our banking system, infiltrating Canadian politics and more. One notorious leader of a Chinese narco group operated right out of Markham, Ontario, while his organization ran illegal casinos and engaged in human trafficking from multi-million-dollar properties in our suburbs. You'd think our politicians would be focused on dismantling these criminal enterprises, but allegedly they are too busy enjoying these casinos to shut them down. These organizations have also infiltrated critical institutions, including the Canadian Border Services Agency. Whistleblowers have come forward alleging that CBSA managers instructed agents to destroy passports and documents which could have uncovered organized crime, all while also turning a blind eye to human smuggling operations at the border. Over the past 9 years, violent crime has surged, which is a direct consequence of reckless immigration policies and lenient bail reforms that treat crime as a mere inconvenience. Whether it's due to incompetence or malice doesn't make a difference. At this point, the Canadian government and its policies are a direct threat to the people of Canada. Canada has become a place.
Right? So I didn't get that. Click on that fast enough. So we're going after farmers, killing ostriches, sending all kinds of RCMP out there, spending hundreds of thousands of taxpayers' dollars putting these RCMP officers up in hotels. The Canadian, whatever it is, health institution, whatever it is, I can never get that right for some reason. Health Inspection Agency. They have people there too. And they're all, in hotels eating expensive food and paying for their overtime and whatever to kill ostriches. And yet, as Blender News has pointed out, we have a far bigger problem in Canada. It's organized crime. Why aren't there RCMP going out and arresting them? And, you know, it is what it is, right? And it's very complicated, and we're not going to come up with the answers in the last minute of this show one bit. But all we can do in this show, and I'm doing what I can do anyways, this is not just me complaining. This is me just trying to bring to light things and situations that are going on in our country, in our community, and putting light on things, not making light of them, but putting light on them to discuss and get out in the public and start having conversations about the state we're living in. Not the state like the United States, but the predicament that we're in Canada and in our province and in our community. It's all the time we got today, unfortunately. We'll be back same time, same place on the same platforms, God willing, tomorrow. Remember to stay aware, like, share, take care, and stay tuned now for Earshot Daily on CKLU 96.7 FM. See you tomorrow. Have a safe and wonderful Thursday, everyone. Ciao for now.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.